So, however, we find in the phrase the light color robed monk, and so on. And he explains its meaning of the referring to monks of the Jaina school, Jain school, Jain school. They wear the white. So in the Jainism, there is a two kind of one the Digambara, one always remain naked, one wear the white cloth and had mask all the time. So now it's in general, renunciate is the epithet of the meditator. So using, with respect, the renunciate monks, So the phrase in the commentaries, they refer to the proponents of the Buddhist school known as white-clawed meditators. The school that assert that the substantial real aggregates are the agent. It looks like Laṅkā Tsongkhapa couldn't really figure out what he's saying. So the white cloth is the Buddhist or Jainism. Establishing, the grades in Asian, establishing that word only shows the primacy of the mind. Having shown how the rejections of the agent other than the mind is the purpose of the word only. Now again it's saying that, in Laṅkā Sutra, three ram is nothing but mind, or the mind only. So the mind only is rejecting the agent or creator other than the mind. So affirming the mind is the creator. It has been demonstrated that the word only does not negate external reality. Now saying that because it's just simply negating there is no creator other than the mind, So it is not negating external reality. The object of knowledge, now the texts present different explanations based on the stating the primacy of the mind, if how it is impossible, and how it is impossible, the external reality is being rejected by the word mind only. So just as the word Buddha referred to one who has blossomed into the suchness. Now this is the Chandrakirti root text. Just as the word Buddha referred to one who has blossomed into the suchness. So the sutra, the speak of the mind only, because the mind is primary in the world, the meaning of such sutra is not that matter has no existence. So Chandrakirti in the root text say that is it like it is the word when you say the Buddha means the Buddha is the word Buddha, the understood in the people's mind as the person, right? The person. Actually, the Buddha literally means, is knowledge expanded limitlessly in ultimate nature, right? Or knowledge, wisdom has perfected in emptiness, or here is the one who has blossomed into suchness, one who has, perfectly expanded their knowledge in suchness. So this is what is mean, but it can be, understand the Buddha. And Shakyamuni is Buddha, So the Buddhahood is in the Buddha. So in this way, there's a mind only is saying that, mind only is like if you have choice, these 6 realms that you just cycle in 6 realms, human beings to the God beings to the animal to the hungry ghost, and continues. These are, primarily caused by physical substance, physical form, or the mind. So this your cycle is 6 rounds. 6 rounds is caused by form, physical material, or the consciousness. So then you say, mind only is not the main cause. Is not the physical, not the matters. The main cause is the mind. So this is what is mind only means. Form or consciousness, and choose the consciousness. Consciousness is the cause for the 6 rounds, 3 rounds. So mind only means, which means the kind of main cause of the 6 round or the 3 round is not the form. It is saying that, not the form, not the matters. So meaning of the such sutra is not that matter has no existence. So it is not talking about the matter or the form is not exist. Which one is main cause? Say, mind only is the main cause. That does not kind of rejected the form not exist or rejected existence of the form. For if the Buddha knew the world to be mind only, and on that basis did engage in the rejection of the matter. For if the Buddha knew the world to be mind only, and on that basis did engage in the rejection of matters, if if in the Laṅkā Sutras, mind only, if this is rejecting the matter, so then why then would the Great One, the Buddha, proclaim in the same sutra that the mind was born from delusion and karma? Right? If the mind only is rejecting the external form, then why would Buddha, that very same sutra, say the consciousness born from the karma in ignorance? So that was the root text. Now the commentary by Lama Tsongkhapa. When the word Buddha awakened and blossom one, awaken and blossom one. Maybe he was translating from the Tibetan the word Sangye, So he's translating the Sangye, awaken and blossom one, refer to the one who has blossomed into the suchness. although the first part of the name awaken is left implicit, is hidden, or it is not explicitly mentioned. And the awaken has not mentioned, only the blossom is mentioned, which means when you have, perfectly, expanded your knowledge in suchness, which means you are awakened, right? So the meaning is same thing. So if you give the two options, so which whole 6 realms and the 3 realms are who has cause mainly, and then you say mind only, that rejects physical is not the main cause. So that means it's physical, not the main cause. Mind is the main cause. Mind only is the cause of the 6th realm. So mind only, the word did not explicitly mention not the form, is the main cause. But it meant mind only, it meant the material is not the main cause. So awaken and left implicit. The conventional Buddha is still used. Conventional Buddha is still used as an epithet for such person. Just so we should recognize that it is only because the mind is primary between the matter and the mind in the world that the Sutras speak of the world of the 3 realms as a being mind only. So the world of the 3 realms is a being mind only. So if you read whole line, physical or the mind only is the cause. Or the material is not the cause, and mind only is the cause. So leaving the implicit second part of the phrase, which is the primary, in other words, this statement of the mind only preclude from, and so on as being primary in constituting the 3 realms. So mind only is a precluding, not material. Mind only is the mind is the only, mind only, or the mind is the primary, constituting 3 realms. The meaning of the such sutra is not to state that mind alone exists intrinsically, that, mind only schools, their interpretations now saying, Buddha says mind only, so therefore mind only is intrinsically exists, and external form is not exist. So to reject the external reality, assert that matter has no existence, that is too much, So beyond the boundary. So the meaning of the 10 Ground Sutra must be accepted without reservations, exactly according to how we have explained it. How many people in you, we have? For if, in accord with your positions, it were the case that Buddha knew the world of the 3 realms to be intrinsically existent, mind only, and on that base did engage in the rejection of the matter in the 10 Ground Sutra, in that case, why then would the Great One, the Buddha, to proclaim in the same 10 Ground Sutra that the mind or the consciousness was born from karma and delusions? So karma is the action, physical action, verbal actions, that cause the consciousness, that printed in the consciousness. If the physical form is not exist, then how can physical verbal actions become the cause which print into the consciousness? Delusions or the ignorance. For he stated, the condition by ignorance, volition arises, and the condition by the volitions, the consciousness arises. Such statement will become untenable. In English, the volition means is a karma action. It's the will, right?
Volition, it kind of means like you have the desire to
Desire,
do something.
right? Yeah. So, yeah.
Power of using your own will.
One's own volition.
Yeah, you can create the karma under the force of someone else. If someone say, put a gun at you, just go and lie, or someone paid you to lie. So you have to create the karma. This is called Ch15, and acted, not committed. So you acted, not committed, but you have no intention.
It's not karma.
Yeah, it's a karma. So Ch15. Sometimes you have committed, you're not acted out. You whole plan, or you order someone, but you do not physically commit it. So I'm questioning the volitions as a karma. So karma arises, the condition by the volitions, the consciousness arises. And such statement will become untenable. So now Chandrakirti is saying that if there is no physical form, no external form, and so which means there is no other than the mind, there is no external form. Other than the mind, there is no form. So when there is no other than the mind, there's no form, how the karma and produce the consciousness? Right? Physical karma, verbal karma, mental karma, how these produce the consciousness. If not conscious, then says out of ignorance, karma, from the karma, consciousness. Maybe it's better to say in the sutra, if he was referring to quoting from the sutra, and there is literally in Buddha and Sutra, like a son born from mother and father, the consciousness is born from form and sense faculty. That each of the forms again being generated from the four elements. This is literally what they said it. So I find it's more powerful than saying, how would then, consciousness can be born from karma and ignorance. So the Buddha stated in 10 ground sutras, the consciousness and effect of ignorance and the volitions. Its volition is action, not action, right?
I think it's like you have your own will, like you have the will to do something, you do so kind of freely, like I will do this, I think is a way of thinking.
Doesn't volition lead to action?
The volition can lead to action, right?
Right.
So right now is the volition means action. Ignorance and the volitions.
Keshav, can you repeat that, what you like the son born from mother and father.
I consciousness born from form and sense faculty. So make the solid and make a number of skills. I saw this kind of translation in the Precious Garden, some of the religions. So he did not say it has intrinsic existence, even if in general Buddha had taught elsewhere that consciousness is the both dependent, originated, and intrinsic existence, given that it is inconceivable for the faultless speaker to adapt to both these two positions. So the Chandrakirti is saying that even there is, hypothetically, in this 10 ground of the sutra, Buddha says consciousness, dependent, rising, and intrinsically exist. So this is not really impossible. This cannot be possible within the one sutra, and said by the formless Buddha, the speaker, who has free from the mistake. How can you say within one ground, one line, one sutra, and one says from the first it says the consciousness dependent rising, and second is the consciousness intrinsically exists.
Mm-hmm.
The both these positions as his own, we would have to recognize that he adapted such statement for the other's sake. Now, in third tenet will of the Dharma, minority school, one particular, Chandam Yandapa, one of the bodhisattvas, caution, discussions on the three characteristics. So, and there it is not explicit, but they kind of meant that the three characteristic, other power nature, and the ultimate truth, thoroughly established natures, intrinsically exist, truly exist. In the middle, imputation factor does not truly exist. So that means in minority school, other power natures are dependent arising, and it is intrinsic. This was when Buddha in third tenet will of the Dharma, if he, say that to the minority, so it's sacred, their mental positions. This is the only they can understand, To not, to not be the Buddha's own standpoint, the word, the consciousness, to exist by virtue of its own essence, it would not be dependent upon ignorance and the volitions. Now, in Nagarjuna or Chandrakirti, his own positions said, if the consciousness is not intrinsically exist, and if the consciousness intrinsically exists, then it cannot be depending on ignorance and the karma. So the consciousness born from ignorance and the karma, therefore consciousness is not going to be intrinsically exist. So ignorance of volitions. The fact is, the consciousness is dependent upon such factors, and as such, it has no existing by virtue of its own essence. It is certain, therefore, that in no possible manner does consciousness possess intrinsic existence. So just like floating here being perceived by the someone with an eye disorder, so we should understand that intrinsic and real consciousness is something that exists when the conditions are present. For such distortions, it does not exist. When such conditions for the distortions are the absence. Yeah, maybe you can just understand for the Prasangika school, from their perspective, from their standpoint, it is impossible the consciousness, dependently arising, and it is intrinsically exist. So now the question says, and why the minority school, assert consciousness is truly exists and dependent arising, and then said this is like their mind has problem. So someone who has the distorted eye, they can see double moon, they can see everything is double. That does not mean that there is the double moon. So distortions, distortion are absence. This then is the understanding that the sequence presentations of the dependent origination shows, Dende Lungjungs, the sequence orders of counting from ignorance as a first, and karma and consciousness. In this way, show that when there is ignorance, the condition of the distortions of consciousness comes to exist. When there is ignorance, there is a karma and consciousness. And how, when there is no ignorance, when there is no ignorance, the conscious will come to cease, is stated through the presenting the reverse order of the dependent originations. From the reverse order, just when you contemplate visual dependent origination reversely, then say how the birth will end, but by what it ends the birth, and then says a process of becoming. By ending the process of becoming, the birth and the aging and death is end. And how the birth, a process of becoming end, it end by ending the the grasping. The grasping, how it end. The grasping will end when the craving is end. How craving will be end? The craving will end when the feeling is end. How feeling is end? The feeling is end by ending the contact. Contact end by ending the faculties. The faculties end by ending the name and form. Name and form end by ending the consciousness. Consciousness end by ending karma. Karma ends by ending the ignorance. Reversely. So having thus presented, the sutra makes extensive statements such as following. Thus the volition possesses the fault of the multiple ill consequences, and when it is discerned with the discriminated awareness of the devoid of essence, as unborn, unceasing. So, simple way, and the simple word is, with the karma, there's a multiple consequences, positive karma, negative karma. Within the negative karma, there's a varieties, many of them, the consequences is limitless. Now, all this can be end, so when it is discerned that discriminative awareness as a devoid of essence, this whole, the birth, the varieties of the birth in the different realms, all can be shunned and totally end by ending, the ignorance, or by negating the intrinsic property or intrinsic nature.
That's what the discriminative awareness is referring to.
Yes, discern with a discriminative awareness. Contemplative wisdom, which means discern with the contemplative wisdom, which reveals the devoid of the essence. Through that wisdom and all the secular existence, every possibility in the future, all the consequences in the future will be end. So what sane persons would, after seeing this statement in the sutra, conceive of the consciousness as a substantial existence? So the minority school is not a sane person, insane people. So no one would, to do so would be because of the philosophical basis, the grasping a true existence. So now 60 stanzas of the reasoning also stated, since the Buddha has stated that the world is conditioned by ignorance, why is it not reasonable to assert that this world is the result of the conceptualizations? Yeah, so this kind of last, it says, the world is conditioned by ignorance, right? Why it is not reasonable to assert the world is the result of conceptualizations. In Tibetan, it's more kind of sharp. There's the word in the English translation. This is so. Since the world is created, projected by ignorance, then which kind of indicates that, if everything different, like 3 realms or 6 realms of the sentient beings, all of them construct, project by the ignorance, right? As there is no world other than the, ignorance. There's no such thing exists. So then in Tibetan said, why wouldn't you say the world is nothing but thought? So in Tibetan it's more sharp, So it means, the human realms is, nothing but thought. Hell realms is nothing but thought. Because the world that you see is projected by the thought, particularly, more importantly, ignorance, misconceptions is projecting. What misconception has projected that you see, you feel like you're living in there. Right? So why not? The world is, to call it, is the thought. Or if you want to say it more uglier, say, Why not? You want to say you are nothing but ignorance. And then people may say, I'm not ignorance, I'm ignorant. Yeah. Then you say, you're not that ignorant, you know. So yeah, result of the conceptualizations, since it comes to an end when the ignorance ceases, why does it not become clear then? Since it comes to an end when ignorance ceases, why does it not become clearer than that it has conjured by ignorance? So I think this is the this line kind of, you say, we need the cautions since it comes to an end when ignorance is ceased. So what is that? What is that cessation? And then it says that cessation is nirvana. So how do you start to knowing or the seeing that nirvana? So nirvana is start to seeing when you see the most subtle dependent rising. Right? When most subtle dependent rising, you start seeing the nirvana. So that nirvana that you see is become clearer and clearer and clearer. Why not it become clearer and clearer and clearer, and then you can actualize, you become one with that, because what obscures you to see the nirvana, what obscuring to see nirvana more clearer is conjured by the ignorance. So if this is the illusions, and then you can more you understand the illusions, more you know it is not true, which means the truth is become clear to you.
This one saying that you have to experience or understand the nirvana to see that it came from ignorance.
So he's saying that, for example, so there's a lot of folks, and within the folk you have to find things. So now to see the things more clear in the folk, so you have to apply something that remove the folks or dry up the folks, so that the folks are conjured by the ignorance. So, and then more you are removing it or drying it, through the wisdom, and then things become clear and clear to you. So nirvana is the thing, and so three realms, the activities, the suffering, and all kind of happiness, these are the folk that's obscuring to see the nirvana. So how can I just see through those, the nirvana? Then says, just generate the wisdoms, and then try to apply as the antidote to the ignorance. So then projector of ignorance, which project the world, more you apply an antidote, it will less and less power to project things, less and less power to deceive you. Once they completely stop, and then you can see nirvana is there, just there. From the beginning, there's nirvana is there. You thought that's a cow.
From this schedule, is it okay to consider ignorance and thought as a pretty much same, or is it some distinction need to be made?
I think there's for the ordinary people, ignorance and the thoughts. The ignorance is the president. Thoughts are the the stuff. The thoughts are, working under the ignorance for the ordinary. And then, and you just deal with ignorance. President. So you make it less power. And the thoughts thinks that now we have freedom to create more positive things. Before, thought in ignorance, doing the same thing, think the same thing, feel the same thing. Yeah, so this is, since it comes to an end when ignorance ceases, why does it not become clearer? Clearer then, that what is conjured by ignorance. The point being made here is that if something were to exist by virtue of its own essence, it would exist as a true mode of being. That is, when the delusory perception ceases, it should become the clearer and clearer rather than becoming undone or altogether. So there's the ignorance undone and altogether. Yeah. So I think, even for the English speakers, they're still, what do you mean by undone and altogether? Clear rather than become, undone and altogether. so you have any idea? Undone altogether or undone altogether. Dogma Mingyuro is like, this is saying that through the wisdom, by enhancing or increasing the wisdom, and supposed to the nirvana become clearer and clearer, rather than undone, rather than become more foggier. So coming, more you remove the fog, it keep coming. It's not the way. More you deal with ignorance, the less the fog, less the obscurations. That's why it's saying, because it's the opposite of the clear and clear, rather than becoming undone altogether. I think translator only he is understanding. So, maybe it's better to say it's not rather than it become, how's that? Reverse back to, to make the point that mind is primary, the text says, it is the mind that constructs the vast diversity of the both domain of the sentient being and the universe as well, with the say that all beings are born of karma. There is no karma without the mind. Even though the matter does exist, it has no of the status of the creator like mind. Same things keep repeating. Yeah. So what is being denied is the creator other than the mind. What is not the matter is being negated. It is not that matter is being negated. So here's one, like in Tibetan, this is, Lama Tsongkhapa used the, metaphor, some kind of like, when we say awakening, awakened beings. So in English, I always said, right? This is the Buddha, awakened one, awakened one. I think in the real original Sanskrit, Buddha, so you can refer to the person and you can refer to the qualities, both. Just because of the quality, the omniscient, with that you can call anyone who has attained, who possesses the quality as a Buddha. So Tibetan, in the translators, the all-time, the great master translators, they translate the Buddha is too short for the Tibetan to understand. Buddha is just awakening. And Tibetan translator says Sangye, so 2 syllables together. Sang means totally purified and expanded the knowledge. So put together, that is the definition of the Buddha. Now we say, so when you say, the blossom or expand the knowledge in suchness, or perfected the knowledge in suchness. So it's the same, it contains the same meaning, or purified. Without having been purified, you cannot be perfect wisdom in ultimate nature. Right? So in similar, Lama Tsongkhapa using this kind of, when you said the Buddha, you understand the both purified and expand the knowledge. So similarly, this 3 realms is mind only. When you see this, you also that contains the meaning. If someone gives the options, the matter and the mind, which one is the main cause for the 3 realms? And it says mind only. So now mind only is saying matter is not the main cause. And that mind only is also not negating, rejecting the matter. Simply saying matter is not the main cause. Now, what is negating? It is negating Atma, Paramatma, Ishvara, So these are not the creator of 3 realms. Mind only. Mind is the creator. Yeah. Any questions? No. I think this one's the last. It is the mind that constructs the vast diversity of the both domains of sentient being and their, universe as well. So now there you come, it comes collective karma and individual karma. Collective karma is the responsible to create the universe of the planets. So the collective, the people who continuously living in this universe, they commonly committed some karma that make it better, the planet, or worse. And then the individual karma is for your own. What you sow, what you reap, the consequences. Sometimes the colors, even the colors, colors, the flowers, there's something connected to this in the collective karma. Karma is very, very, too profound and too vast to understand. Emptiness is much easier than karma. So, any questions? No questions? Chanju Simjo Rinpoche, Majebana, Jejuji, Jebanyamba, Mebani, Kone Kuda, Courage. Tony Dawa Rinpoche, Majebana, Jejuji, Jebanyamba, Mebani, Kone Kuda, Courage, Pama Simje, Damja, Dada, Deju, Nidrotham Jetado, Don, Chanju Simba, Kama Sushi, Tada Punja, Molum Juji, Karera Vukovich, Panda de Wama, Juji, Cherez, Tinzinja, Shabe Side Patu, Tengu.
May the precious Bodhi mind not yet born arise and grow. May that born have no decline but increase forevermore. May the precious mind realizing emptiness not yet born arise and grow. May that born have no decline but increase forevermore. Due to all these merits, may all Father and Mother sentient beings have all the happiness. And may all the lower realms be empty forever. Wherever there are bodhisattvas, may all their prayers be accomplished immediately. In the sacred land surrounded by snow mountains, you are the source of all benefit and happiness. O powerful Ch15, remain in this world until some side.
Thank you very much.